Persona 5, we all know it, we all love it, and Atlus knows that we love it. So in their latest attempt to make this game last forever, they released Persona 5 The Phantom X, a gacha spin-off title. I say that this is their latest attempt, but the game has already been out for quite a while in China, to be fair, and only recently got a global and Japanese release. At the time of writing this, my account in the game is level 40. I cleared chapter 1 and I did all side missions available at that point. With games like this, it's always kind of hard to know when you've played enough to be able to write a review, but I feel like I did play enough to have a decent grasp of what the game has to offer and to at least share some of my first impressions or early game thoughts. As this has been a very mixed experience so far, and I just have a lot of thoughts. So if you like videos like this, maybe leave a like or check out my channel, I really appreciate all of the support, but without further ado, let's not waste any more time and let's talk about Persona 5 The Phantom X. But let's start off by giving this some context, because I did say that I had a mixed experience with the game so far, but that doesn't mean that I didn't want to like the game. A lot of people will see a gacha spin-off and immediately assume the worst, but personally, while I wasn't super excited, I did think the game had potential. I went into it expecting a pretty good time. Before the global release, it looked pretty free-to-play friendly, and it didn't look like too much of a time sink to keep up with the story. Keeping up with gacha games can be very exhausting, but a 5 to 10 hour story expansion every few months doesn't sound too bad. I also liked a lot of the character designs, and a live service Persona game also sounds like an interesting concept. That might be quite an unpopular standpoint, but hear me out for a second. Persona games always get you super attached to its characters and its world, and the idea of having a game like that staying with you for years as an evolving narrative sounded pretty cool to me. It can strengthen your attachment to these characters as you're with them for a longer period of time before saying goodbye, and that's always been a part of the Persona formula. These games are already quite long, and that is partly why it really manages to drive home that feeling of connection. When you say goodbye at the end of a Persona game, it's often emotional because yes, the characters are great and it's a fantastic narrative coming to an end, but it's also because you've been a part of this world for so many hours of your life. You don't just get a highlight reel, you've lived this game. You go to school in it, you hang out with your social links at a cafe, you study for your exams, you go to bed when your cat tells you to, you go into the dungeons to defeat demons. Those last ones might not be very relatable, but you know what I mean. So applying that framework to a live service evolving narrative that can stay with you for a couple of years was something that I was interested in. I thought it was an interesting concept. But of course, that only works if the game is good. And the first chapter definitely didn't leave a good impression, as it's all focused around this antagonistic figure called the Subway Slammer. And this arc is honestly bafflingly bad in my opinion. If you're on the internet, you might have seen this guy around, as he instantly became a meme, and that's only natural when you have an antagonist like this. He just walks around the subway station looking for a target, runs up to them, pushes them, and then runs away. And while, yeah, as phantom thieves you should probably stop him from pushing random people around, I feel like this should have been a Mementos side quest target at most. But no, this game makes him the first major antagonist, the Subway Slammer. And the way that the game presents him is so deeply unserious, with the characters acting as if he's committing the greatest crime possible. Again, yes, we should probably stop him, and yes, this is a real issue in Japan, and I also kind of get what they were maybe going for, starting off with a very small threat, and then in the late game we could be taking down a serious threat, but the game doesn't do a good job at portraying this situation at all. To give you an example of how dumb the writing in this arc is, at some point he literally screams, "This whole subway is mine for the slamming," and then he has an evil villain laugh, and then he disappears into the crowd like this? The way that this whole situation is framed just makes this look unbelievably dumb, and I have no idea why and how they made this the focus of an entire arc. Because, mind you, this isn't a comedy, and this is supposed to be taken seriously. Even after we get to his backstory, it's hard to care, as it all just sounds so ridiculous and the writing is so incredibly weak. It's literally so bad that the studio hired a new writing team in the hopes that the following chapters would be better received by the players. Thankfully though, the other characters are fine. I don't strongly dislike any of them, but the problem is that I also can't really say the opposite. Sadly, they just don't evoke any strong feelings at all. Hopefully this is something that improves over time as we meet more party members and spend more time with them, but right now they're all just kind of they're whatever. They're not great, they're not bad, they're there. Yeah, they're there, I guess we can say it like that. Which is both not too big of a deal, because again it has just been one arc, but it's also kind of strange because unlike Persona 5, the real Persona 5, the entirety of the first arc, or the first palace here, is focused on one single party member, while Persona 5 had Morgana, Ann, and Ryuji to be introduced within one chapter, and that game was able to write a strong introduction to all three of them, while this game is struggling to write a strong introduction for one of them. But I guess that might be because the Subway Slammer is just too powerful, so he overshadows every other character. On a serious note though, this is quite disappointing, especially because Persona is a series known for its strong characters, with each game having some standout characters within the genre for me. And as I said, at this point in the story, in other Persona games, I would already be way more invested in the main party and in their characters. While here, they're just whatever. And another part that's sad about how they're writing these characters is how much they're relying on Persona 5. Many moments here so far are literally the same story and character beats as we've seen in that game, but without the weight to make them work. At so many moments, it just feels like I've seen this story before, with this just being a lazy retelling, even down to the formation of the Phantom Thieves. In Persona 5, it happens because they land in this situation and they decide to form the Phantom Thieves to help others. But here, this owl just shows up and says that they should be Phantom Thieves, so they become Phantom Thieves. But does this group really feel like Phantom Thieves? I mean, I guess they wear stylish outfits and go into palaces and steal treasures while Life Will Change plays in the background, but that's about it. They're not Phantom Thieves out of a natural progression of the plot. Now, I will mention that P5X takes place in an alternate universe of Persona 5, and that there are some hints being dropped at possibly the universes connecting at some point, or the game at least explaining the connection between universes. And if that does become a bigger part of the narrative, that could possibly strengthen the weight behind all of these similarities. But right now, that narrative element is just a weird background thing that shows up every now and then. So while it could turn into something cool, it's way too early to say right now, and right now a lot of these narrative elements just feel extremely weak and feel more like pandering to fans of Persona 5 rather than a genuinely well written or cool connection. But I will also say that the story isn't all doom and gloom, because the social links and the side stories are actually quite strong. The only time that I was like genuinely actively enjoying my time with this game was when I was partaking in these stories, and at the time of writing this, I'm still pretty early in their respective links, so it is a good sign that I'm already pretty invested in these side characters. Besides that, the general daily life gameplay is also implemented pretty decently. I'm like honestly surprised with how well they recreated the Persona gameplay loop. Granted, they did just copy and paste a lot of it from Persona 5, including the UI, the OST, the locations, the activities, the NPCs, and more, but they still made it work in the gacha formula, so I'll give them that. Credit where credit is due, the daily life aspect is done surprisingly well in this game. Outside of that though, the gameplay can be pretty boring, because the first palace is, in my opinion, just not very good. Hopefully this is just because it's the first palace, but it is incredibly handy hand-holdy. It feels like they don't trust the player to do anything, because every single step you take is guided by an objective marker, with the game not even allowing you to interact with objects that aren't marked. After completing the story content for a palace, you can go back and explore the rest of the palace though, which does give you a lot more freedom and a lot more player agency, but that's a little too late in my opinion. I'm glad it's there, don't get me wrong, better late than never, but why is the fun gameplay pushed aside into the realm of optional content instead of being a part of the story progression? All my time in the first palace has just been me walking around from marker to marker, every now and then pushing a block out of my way because I guess that counts as a puzzle, and opening chest after chest, as every room has at least one chest just standing there. These chests aren't hidden, they aren't locked behind puzzles, they're just sprinkled out on the path of progression. There are also enemies roaming around, obviously, and they also reused the stealth system from Persona 5, but for some reason they made every enemy blind, making it so that you can just walk up to them and press attack. I never once felt like I needed to engage in the stealth mechanics at all. I know that they did this because it's a mobile game, so everyone needs to be able to clear it, even with touch controls, but it's so incredibly boring, and at that point I don't even know why the stealth system is there. I feel like they could have made the enemy encounters more interesting by spicing things up, but I guess they just wanted to remain as close to Persona 5 as possible, but now we just ended up with whatever this is. The combat itself is fine though, it's not great, but it's also far from bad. For the most part it is just Persona 5, with the different elements, all-out attacks, technicals, etc., but it's been both expanded upon and simplified at the same time. Baton passes, or one-mords for example, are now just a simple follow-up attack of a character of your choice. You cannot baton pass and choose which skill you want to use anymore, but instead you select a character to pass to and they will just use a preset attack, and that's it. But at the same time, the combat is also expanded upon in the way that every attack move now has a million attributes and overly complicated skill description in true gacha manner, because I guess that's the only way that they could think of to make two ice characters stand out from each other. Part of me is just joking around because the combat is fun enough, and yeah, the different skills do help with differentiating characters and giving you more team build variety, but at the same time I'm not joking because look at these skill descriptions. This is ridiculous and we're only in 1.1 right now. I cannot imagine what these skills are gonna look like in a few years. Outside of palaces, you also have mementos, because of course it wouldn't be Persona 5 without mementos, but they didn't really change that much about it. They simplified a lot of the layout, but in return they did add some extra level gating and a ticket/collectible mechanic in order to rebalance the way that you progress through the dungeon and to sprinkle in some more rewards. But that's about it. So all in all, the dungeons here are, I guess, about what you'd expect from a gacha Persona 5. They're simplified, they're a lot longer, and they have so many rewards everywhere, so you'll always have a steady income of like 5 gems every few steps you take. The game always wants to make you feel like you're building towards something, like you're being rewarded. It's something that a lot of gacha games do. Some do it better than others, of course, and while it isn't egregious here, I feel like they could have added some more mechanical depth to these chests, or just add some more mechanics so that there's more player engagement into opening and finding these treasures, because right now a lot of them are just standing there. But if that was it, I could have probably just brushed this off as a dumb but still pretty decently fun gacha spin-off. It's not very good, but at the very least it's not offensively bad. It can be entertaining to play, and even the subway slammer reaches a point of so bad that it is quite funny. Plus they did change the writing team, so maybe the story will actually become entertaining for the right reason within the next few chapters. So if you wanted more Persona 5, then this kind of life resembles that, and maybe it can keep you busy when you have some time to kill while we wait for Persona 6. But sadly, this is not where the video ends, as this is where we get into the extremely predatory side of this game. Personally, I honestly don't even mind gacha games that much. A lot of them can be good fun, and they can also be very free to play friendly, despite popular belief. It is a pretty predatory monetization model, but if handled correctly, it doesn't have to hinder the player experience. Many gacha games allow you to comfortably play through all the story content without ever feeling like you have to open the shop. But P5X sadly doesn't seem to understand that concept, because if you play this game for even a couple of minutes, it will be blatantly obvious that they are after your money. Every day you can claim a login bonus that is conveniently placed in the currency shop right next to the ongoing discounts. The game will literally pause every now and then, only to show a pop-up advertisement to show you a bundle that you can buy in the shop right now. And I kid you not, when you beat the subway slammer and you watch the cutscene of them taking him down, you escape the palace and his confession cutscene plays, the very first thing you see when the game gives you control again is a pop-up advertisement for a new discount bundle. They are so in your face about wanting your money, it's kind of crazy. The global release of P5X is also behind on the current CN or Chinese release. They are about a year and a half behind on content releases right now. So in order to catch up, they are speeding up the release of all content, including characters. But because of this, a lot of this content is being released at a pace that is very hard to keep up with, which is honestly an insane way to feed FOMO. FOMO is already a pretty big issue in gacha games in general, but this game is going at double the speed of what it's actually balanced for. And if you think that being behind on CN gives us an advantage, as we should be able to see which characters are releasing in which version, so you can save up your gems with that knowledge, well, sadly the publishers of the global version are also aware of that, and they do not want you to have an advantage. So they already stated that they will be changing character release schedules. So not only are we getting every piece of content a lot faster, making it so that we need more currency in a shorter amount of time, they also actively want to keep us in the dark about upcoming character releases, so we can't prepare. Minami, for example, the latest limited character as of writing this, is actually a standard banner character in CN, meaning that you can pull for Minami whenever you want. You don't have to use the special currency exclusively for limited banners, but that is only the case in the CN release. In that release, she got added to the standard banner in 1.1, so a lot of people in the global release were saving up their standard pulls for 1.1 in the hope that they could get Minami. But now, global released 1.1 and they stated that Minami will not be coming to the standard pool, instead making her a limited character. She will probably be added to the standard pool at some point, but we don't know when or if that will even happen, which they obviously did to stop you from saving up. They want to encourage you to just pull on the banner now, because who knows how long you'll be waiting otherwise. Personally, I'm currently saving my limited pulls for Makoto because I love her, and according to predictions based on CN, she should be releasing somewhere in August, which is very soon, and despite not having done a single pull on the limited banner, and despite playing this game for quite a bit already, I still do not have enough gems to confidently say that I will be able to get Makoto, so I should be saving up more, but right now, my account is in need of a healer, and guess what? Minami is a healer. She is also my favorite social link in the game so far, and she won't get added to the standard banner. And if I don't pull for her right now, who knows when she'll return? The game is constantly telling me to just give in and pull for Minami, because while the predictions online are saying that Makoto is coming in August, who knows when she'll be released? Maybe she'll come out in 2 weeks, maybe in 2 months, maybe next year. The game said that they're changing up release schedules, so the only way that I'll be sure to get both characters that I want is by just giving in and pulling on the banner right now. And if I don't have enough gems saved up by the time the Makoto is back, I guess I'll have to swipe my credit card, which is exactly what they're aiming for. I'm not falling for it though, I am loyal to Makoto, both of them. And to top it all off, because this isn't bad enough already, they're also giving the global version less free rewards compared to the other regions, and the pricing is also more expensive, with bundles being worth less gems for the same price. And just in general, this game feels very stingy, which is really crazy because usually gacha games are the most charitable when they're close to release. They obviously want to draw in players, so they'll give out free gems left, right, center, giving you all of the opportunities to pull for the characters that you want. But for some reason, they're doing the opposite for P5X. And if this is the most charitable that they're gonna get with their launch bonuses, then I am very scared for the future of this game. They're honestly not even trying to hide the fact that they just want you to spend as much money as possible, because again, this isn't even all. Because on top of all of this, they're also doing things like releasing premium skins early. This Joker skin, for example, from the Chinese version, was released in 4.0, and this skin is expensive, requiring a lot of gems just to have a chance at getting this costume. But for some reason, they thought that it was a good idea to release this Joker skin early for global. And that's like crazy because the content release in global is faster. There are way too many characters to spend your gems on, and the publishers are just deciding to feed the FOMO by giving you yet another thing to spend your gems on. But thankfully, all of this is also being reflected in the reviews right now. So thankfully, the fans are at the very least speaking up against the situation, which is also why I dedicated this pretty lengthy section in my video to this topic, because this is something that has to be talked about, and if we don't give the correct feedback to the publishers, they won't change anything. I feel like they're just limit testing right now, and we kind of need to tell them that they should calm down. And if they want to speed up the content, then that's fine, but then they should also give us more rewards in order to compensate for all the things that they want us to pull for. But before we move on to the outro, there is one more side effect to them rushing out this content, that being that this game is kind of a broken mess right now, with unfinished translations, bugs and glitches, and just overall jank in the animations and in the visual department. I could go on and on about the bad business practices here, but I also feel like I made my point. Plus, this is something that could possibly and hopefully be fixed as the game goes on. So yeah, I just really hope they fix it, because I do not know how much longer this game will last if they keep blatantly ripping off their players like this. It is not very motivating to put more time into this game as it stands right now. In the end, it all just comes down to Persona 5X feeling like a cheap Persona 5 clone that only wants one thing: your money. At first, I was honestly impressed with how much this felt like Persona 5. It was genuinely really cool to have a mini Persona experience on my phone, but after a couple of minutes, that facade fades away and all you're left with is a empty husk. A husk that doesn't do anything to stand on its own merits. The game is constantly going, hey, you like Persona 5, right? Look over there, that's just like Persona 5. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, that'll be $10, please. This game might look and sound like Persona 5. It might have those vibes and it might even play similarly, but it's way too busy trying to squeeze every penny it can out of you. And even outside of that, outside of all of the monetization, it is fun enough to give you something to play on your phone when you don't have anything else to do, but I struggle to call it more than an okay time waster. It's missing the quality writing, the depth in the gameplay and the characters, it's missing the interesting dungeon design, it's missing the heart, and it's basically just missing all of the things that made the original Persona 5 so special to me. It is quite literally nothing more than a husk, or as the game likes to call itself, a phantom. Thank you for watching. If you made it up to this point in the video, once again, thank you so much for watching. I was not planning on making this video at all. I just finished chapter 1, I wrote my thoughts for backlogged, and then I was like, this is really long and this could honestly work as a tiny video, so then I started fleshing out the script a bit more into the video that you are watching. And if you're wondering if I'm gonna continue playing the game or not, well, that's a very good question. Right now I haven't really played more of it after beating chapter 1, mostly because of the entire situation surrounding the game and the entire conversation with the currency and the just scummy behavior of the publishers. But that being said, while I haven't really been playing it, I do still have it installed, because it's like I said somewhere in my video, it is still a decent time waster. Like when I'm on my lunch break at work or when it's just a slow work day, I can just like do a random challenge battle and the game is fun enough for that. And I have heard from the Chinese community and stuff that chapter 3 and 4, especially chapter 4, is supposedly genuinely good. And I also have a few friends that are still playing the game and that have finished chapter 2 and stuff, and while they say that chapter 2 isn't much better, they are gonna play chapter 3 and 4 for some reason, so I'll probably just end up asking them how chapter 3 and 4 is, and then if the scummy monetization thing gets improved upon, then yeah, maybe I'll continue playing this game, maybe I'll give it another chance and get to chapter 3, get to chapter 4, because it's not that high maintenance of a gacha game, but right now, I honestly cannot say for certain. I have it installed, I'm barely touching it, and if I notice that after a couple of weeks I haven't touched it at all, then I'll probably uninstall it, but who knows where it'll go. We'll see. I hope that they improve the entire situation. I really hope that they listen to feedback, because I feel like this game still has potential. The slice of life stuff is pretty good, the social links are pretty good, they got new writers for the main story. I do genuinely think that this game has potential if they can design better dungeons and if the main story gets better. But yeah, I'll probably post more updates on my playing of this game on Blue Sky and Twitter, maybe? I don't know if I'll ever make another video on it, maybe in like a while. But that's it, I'm starting to ramble on now, as I tend to do, but I wanted to put this little unscripted section in my video, just to give you all a heads up, I guess, of where I'm at with the game. I don't know if that's the correct word to use, for English is pretty hard sometimes. But I'm gonna wrap it up here then. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I don't know why I'm blanking right now, I've done this outro like a million times. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, leave a like on the video, scroll down to the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this game. Are you currently playing it? Are you interested in it? Are you staying far away because of the negative reviews? I'm very curious, and I would love to have a conversation with you all down there. Check out my channel if you haven't already, and if you like content like this, I feel like you will like what I post on my channel. I talk a lot about JRPGs, I adore Persona. Yeah, just some stuff on there that you might want to check out, but I'm gonna end the video here before I start to ramble again. Thank you all so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I'll see you all again soon.